Hey you guys, welcome back to See Mindy Mom. If you are new here, I'm so glad that you found me. This video, I am sharing with you some dinner shortcuts. These are just little ways that I cut corners to create meals for my family on really busy nights. So hopefully there is something here to give you some ideas or some inspiration. Let's dive in. Hey you guys, it is Monday. And have you ever had a weekend that was so busy that you were actually starting off your new week really tired? That's basically the situation that I'm in. It was a great weekend. It was a fun weekend, but man, I am tired. So I am taking a few shortcuts with dinner tonight. Plus, it is just a really, really beautiful day here. And this is the night of the week, the only night of the week when we don't have activities that take us out of the house. And my husband doesn't have any meetings tonight. It was like all the stars aligned and we're all going to be home. The weather's going to be beautiful. And I just don't want to be spending a whole lot of time in my kitchen this evening. I want to be outside enjoying the nice weather with my kids and my family. I'm still going to make some dinner, but we're going to take a few shortcuts. I'm making some chicken in the air fryer. And I had intended to get those little chicken nuggets that I used in my air fryer video a couple weeks back. They're from Purdue. They come in little half-pound packages, frozen, and they're already chopped up. The chicken breast is already chopped up. It's not cooked chicken nuggets like you find in the frozen section. It's just chicken that's been prepped that way. But unfortunately, my Walmart was out. So instead, I'm just going to use chicken tenders. I paid the extra $2 a pound to buy chicken tenders instead of chicken breast because I didn't want to take the time to chop up my chicken. Yes, that's how lazy I am. I'm getting even lazier because I'm going to use a seasoning packet. This is basically the Walmart brand of Shake and Bake. And you're probably like, come on, Mindy, how hard is it just to throw some breadcrumbs and some Parmesan cheese and some seasonings in a bag? Not very hard, but it's even easier just to open up one of these packages and use it. The other shortcut that I am taking, and one that I think it's good for us all to remember, is to peruse our refrigerators for leftovers that we can incorporate into our meals. So we had takeout on Saturday night. We almost always get takeout or, go out to eat at least once a week. And I have some leftover mashed potatoes that will go very well with this. So we're going to use that. And in addition, we also hosted a dinner for about 25 people on Friday night. You'll actually be seeing a video about that specifically. And we had a bunch of salad fixings left over. So I have greens and vegetables and dressing and like salad toppings for salads. So I'm just going to get all of that out. And that's what we're going to have on the side. So all I will have to do is warm up the mashed potatoes and put out the salad fixings and we'll be done. Shortcut dinner, super easy. Okay, here is mine. The chicken turned out great. I just turned mine into a big salad. The kids had theirs with mashed potatoes and vegetables or salad. So I just have my salad greens here and then my chicken on top, some vegetables, some ranch. I had a little bit of feta in the fridge, some bacon bits. This turned out great and it was super fast. I maybe spent 10 minutes total prepping this meal. So that's a win in my book. I am so happy to be partnering again with Green Chef to bring you this video. Green Chef is a USDA certified organic company that offers meal kits with recipes designed by expert chefs. Recipes are quick and easy with step-by-step instructions, chef tips, and photos to guide you along. Plus, everything is handpicked and delivered right to your door. Since Green Chef meals include pre-made, measured sauces, dressings, and spices, I find them especially convenient on those busy days or evenings when I need a few shortcuts in the kitchen. With 9 meals to choose from each week, it's easy to eat well and discover new recipes with Green Chef. And you can choose whether you want your meals to come ready to serve 2, 4, or 6, so they're a good option for households of many sizes. In addition, Green Chef offers meal plans for a variety of lifestyles, including vegan, vegetarian, keto, and paleo. Plus, you can switch up your meal plan whenever you are ready to try a new way of eating.
Right now, Green Chef is offering a discount, so you can let them do your meal planning, grocery shopping, and even some of the prep work for meals you still make right in your own kitchen. Go to greenchef.us and use code Mindy125 at checkout to get $125 off plus free shipping on your first box. We have tried several of these boxes, and this time we opted for the paleo box, which included the salmon with creamy chimichurri that you saw earlier, and this dukkha spiced pork with cauliflower rice. Thank you again to Green Chef for sponsoring today's video, and don't forget to visit the link in the description box, greenchef.us/Mindy125, and use code Mindy125 for $125 off plus free shipping on your first box.
So tonight's dinner is starting with a shortcut that can be kind of a hot button topic over here on See Mindy Mom. Any other time when I've used this, and I have used this several times, especially in making budget dinners, and that is Hamburger Helper. I feel like people either love this or hate this, and I am a person who really likes it. We grew up eating this in my household from time to time because it was something really quick and easy that my mom could throw together for dinner, and growing up in a large family with lots of kids who were involved in activities and needed to eat dinner at different times, this was just easy. Since then, what I have learned to do with this is just use it as a jumping off point and add a bunch of stuff to it to not only improve the taste and the health aspect of it, but also to help it stretch to bigger servings or more servings, depending on what you're trying to accomplish. So I have a pound of ground beef that is thawing right now, and when it's time to throw this together, I am going to add some chopped onion and garlic to the ground beef as it is browning. And I'm going to use this little chopper tool that I have. This is not a food processor. It doesn't have to be plugged in, so I like this thing because it's small, and again, it doesn't require any electricity, and it's super easy to clean. It can just go into the dishwasher. So I'll show you how I use that if you've never seen one before, and if I can find one on Amazon, I will leave it linked in the description box below. Once my meat is done, I'm actually only going to use half of it. I'm going to set aside half of it for what I'm making later on in the week, and I'm going to cook my pasta. I'm going to add that to the dish and cook it according to the package directions, but I'm going to add some tomatoes to it. Now, the easy route would be to add a can or two of just diced tomatoes, which I totally have and could do, but I also have some fresh tomatoes in my refrigerator, and we are trying to kind of eat down the refrigerator and pantry right now, and I don't want these to go to waste. And I will throw those into the mixture whenever I am cooking the pasta according to the package directions. The other thing that I'm going to add is 1 cup of cottage cheese. So that is going to help replace some of the protein I'm removing by only using half the meat. It's going to enhance the flavor. It's going to actually kind of bulk it up a little bit. And I just think it's gonna make it kind of like a one-pot lasagna style dish for us. And I will just sprinkle on some cheese at the end. So this will come together very quickly, which is good because today is a very busy day. I will be in the mom van a lot, and actually the mom van is getting switched out for another mom van tonight, which I am super excited about. I made the executive decision to add an additional 1 cup of water and 4 ounces of plain pasta to this because Ruthie really likes this kind of dish, and she really likes Hamburger Helper, even when I make it and add extra stuff in it. And she has asked if I would make extra so that she can take some in her lunch. So I'm gonna stretch this just another 1.5 to 2 servings by adding some more pasta to it. And it will still be plenty flavorful because there's lots of other stuff going in this. Okay, so full disclosure, this did not turn out quite how I wanted it to. I overestimated just a little bit how much moisture the tomatoes and the cottage cheese were going to add to this. So when I added the extra water and pasta, there just was too much moisture for the pasta to soak up, and it left it just a little bit soupy in the end, but it still worked out okay. It actually is kind of like a chowder, like a thick soup or a chili. And I just added some cheese to mine. I'm now wishing that I had like some garlic toast or something to go along with this because it's really good. It just needed a little bit of salt and pepper, a little cheese, and it's a little bit more like a soup than like a one pot pasta dish. So I would reduce the amount of water if you're making it like I am. Just watch the moisture that you're putting into it. You can always add more. I added just a little bit too much, but you know, this is real life. Sometimes this happens and we're making it work. And quite frankly, it still tastes really good. And that's what matters, right? Dinner tonight is a tried and true favorite. I grew up eating this a lot in my parents' house. My mom made this all the time in the winter, especially when I was in high school and maybe home on the weekends for college. And now I understand why, because it's super easy. And I really need easy tonight because in addition to the usual running of the mom shuttle to and from various and sundry kids activities, I also have to squeeze in 2 parent-teacher conferences amid all of that. So I really need to just have dinner ready to go. So we're gonna make a soup in the crock pot. We have always called this Sooner Soup. I've heard some people refer to it as 7-can soup, and the shortcut is this right here. A can of minestrone soup is actually what flavors the soup. It's what seasons it so that you don't really have to add any extra seasonings to it. You just dump everything in the crock pot with some cooked ground beef and you're ready to go. You can make this on the stove as well. That's actually usually how my mom made it. She would just put everything in a big pot and let it simmer, and it would be ready whenever everybody was ready to eat it. Now, I cannot find condensed minestrone soup anywhere anymore. I don't know if Campbell's just doesn't make it. I don't know if it was a COVID casualty or if it's like just a temporary supply issue, but really for a couple of years now, I have not seen it on my store shelves, and really any kind of minestrone soup is kind of hard for me to come by. So when I see these in Aldi, I usually pick up a few cans for my pantry, and I usually have this soup in mind whenever I am picking these up. So this is actually not a condensed soup. This is not one you would add water to. It is like a ready to eat, kind of like a Progresso type style soup, but it still works in this. And I know a lot of people don't like to use canned soup because of the sodium content, but whenever I'm using this one can to season an entire crock pot or pan of soup, then all of that salt, that sodium, it's spread out across multiple servings. You know, it's spread out across 5, 6, 7 big bowls of soup instead of just 1 or 2. So let me show you the ingredients for this. Super easy. Just gonna throw it all in the crock pot, and then I will show you one other shortcut that I'm taking for dinner tonight. Okay, so this is what is going in my crock pot. This is ground beef and onions and garlic, which I saved from the other night. Remember that I browned a pound of ground beef with onions and garlic. I set aside half of it, and that was so that I could use it in this recipe. I have a can of chili flavored beans. You could probably sub whatever kind of beans you want, but the chili beans have seasoning in them, and that's one of the things that helps season this dish. I have a can of Rotel, diced tomatoes with green chilies, a can of mixed vegetables, and then a can of minestrone soup. And the reason why I think, you know, some people call this 7-can soup is because you're supposed to double this, and use a whole pound of ground beef. So you would use a pound of ground beef, browned, 2 cans of minestrone, 2 cans of vegetables, 2 cans of beans, and then a can of Rotel. I actually don't want to make a huge pot of this. I want to make just enough for my family to enjoy tonight. So I am really basically halving this recipe, halving it. I'm cutting it in half. And if you wanted to feed more people, have bigger servings, then you could obviously make it as it's intended and double up on some of the ingredients. You could play around with different kinds of beans, or maybe adding in different vegetables. If you wanted to add in some corn, I've seen some people take that tack with this type of soup, but that's what's going in my crock pot right now, and it will simmer on low until we are ready to eat it. The other shortcut that I'm taking tonight is I'm going to make some homemade bread to go along with this, which you would think that is not a shortcut, Mindy, because homemade bread takes a lot of time and sometimes a lot of effort. Bread can be kind of finicky, I know, but I'm going to utilize my bread maker. Now, I know not everybody has a bread maker. Every time I think I'm ready to get rid of mine, I end up using it. And really the way that I utilize it the most is by using the dough function on the bread maker. I find that baking the bread in my bread maker, it doesn't always work out. It usually sinks in the middle, or it doesn't bake all the way through, but the bread maker does a good good job for me of removing a lot of the actual work. The mixing of the ingredients, the kneading of the ingredients, timing, how long it's supposed to rest and rise, and then kneading it again. Basically, once I get all the ingredients into the bread pan and put it on the dough cycle, it will do all that work for me. And then I will take it out and I will plop it into like a regular bread pan and bake it in my oven the way that I want it. I am making oatmeal bread, and I really wanted to make my Uncle Don's recipe for this, but I could not find it. My mom could not find it. He unfortunately is no longer with us. He passed away a few years ago. So I found something that I think is pretty similar to his oatmeal bread recipe. And I've always thought this is just a great bread to go along with anything. It toasts really well. So we're going to get that going, and hopefully it will turn out. So in my loaf pan here from my bread maker, I already have a 1/4 cup of warm water and 2 teaspoons of yeast, probably about 2 1/4 teaspoons because they were heaping teaspoons, and you can kind of see that it's already activating the yeast down there. I do this differently than my bread maker recommends. It always wants you to sprinkle the yeast on top, but I always want it down there in the liquids and with the sugar and the salt so that it's like getting fed and it's gonna help the dough rise a little bit. At least that's how I do it. Maybe I'm doing that completely wrong, but that's how I do it. To this, I'm going to add 1 cup of milk. And I did go ahead and warm this in the microwave for about 20 seconds, just so that it's kind of room temperature and not super cold. I'm going to add about a teaspoon of salt. This recipe calls for honey, which, by the way, I will leave this recipe linked in the description box below. I don't have any honey on hand, so I'm gonna use corn syrup instead. And I'm gonna use 3 tablespoons. And to make it a little easier to get out of the tablespoon, since it's sticky, I'm gonna spray my tablespoon with a little bit of oil. Oops. Okay, so I have all my liquids in there, and then to this, I'm going to add 3 cups of flour. And I'm actually just using all-purpose flour. 1, 2, 3, yay. And then I'm also going to add 3/4 cup of plain oatmeal. And these are just quick cooking oats. That's it, that's all it is. So this is a 1/4 cup measuring spoon that I keep in here. So I need 3 of those. Got that in there. And then it calls for 2 tablespoons of butter. I have already cut it into little pieces, and I always like to just put these into the corners, like so. And that's it. I'm just gonna pop this into the bread maker on the dough cycle, and we'll see what happens. Hopefully we'll have some bread dough that we can pop into the oven for fresh bread to go along with our soup. So we're getting towards the end of the first rise cycle, and it's going to knead the dough 1 more time, and then I will take it out and put it into a loaf pan for the second rise before I bake it. All right, you guys, look at how beautifully my bread rose. And all I am going to do is actually move this to the bottom oven. It was in the top oven proofing, and it's moving to the bottom oven, which has been heated to 350. Brick, you wanna open the bottom oven for me? Just open the door for me. There you go. And I'm just gonna pop it in there and let it bake while we are going to swim. I am just between trips back and forth from the house, and I thought I would hop on here and say that the soup is ready, and I'm getting stuff out to go along with it. And basically anything that you would do with chili, you can do with this. So if you want to serve it with rice, with cheese, with sour cream, with Fritos, with tortilla chips, with cornbread, with crackers, I really feel like this has a definite kind of chili style to it. It's just a little bit of a different flavor, I think, than you would normally have with a chili because of the minestrone soup that flavors it. But I've eaten it all those ways that I just mentioned. Tonight we're gonna have the yummy oatmeal bread with it, but like I said, you could do any of those things that I mentioned. Also, this reheats well. I used to make this all the time when my husband and I were first married. Actually, I think it got to the point where we were both like, okay, we're not gonna eat this now for several months because I've made it too much. So just a really good go-to tried and true recipe that we can put all different kinds of things with to go along with it. The bread turned out beautiful, but the most important thing is that it tastes fantastic. And the reason I know that is because this little half-eaten heel that was on the end, the other half was eaten by me with some of that butter. And it was absolutely delicious. I feel like that is, the right of the person who baked the bread to test it by eating the heel. And it was great. It's going to be great with the soup. And I cannot wait to enjoy some of this after I get back from parent-teacher conferences. Okay, I'm finally home from all of the mom errands, and I cannot wait to dive into this. I have a piece of bread here that I toasted and buttered, and I've got my Sooner soup, or my 7-can soup, whatever you want to call it, in my bowl, sprinkled a little cheese on it. Yum, so good, and just, a really hearty, easy meal at the end of a busy, good, but busy day.